So to pronounce our company, it's Vanderlande. I hope that sticks with everybody. I've heard a lot of different ways to say it, especially coming from the south. It's usually Vanderlande, which I much appreciate. But in any case, I'm Jake. This is my colleague, Lotta Willems, correct? Yeah. And so we're here to present to you today on robotics, of course, and how it can improve your business.
Great, thank you, Jake. Yeah, so if you wonder, pronounce it Vanderlande, that's because it's a Dutch company from origin. So our headquarters are in the Netherlands, and yeah, our name actually is the family name of the original owners of the company. So we're established in 1949, and we have over 9,000 employees. People are located worldwide. Most of them are in our headquarters in the Netherlands, but we also have a very big team here in North America and Australia, and yeah, in Germany, and yeah, mainly all over the world. Our yearly revenue is about 2.5 billion, and with the current exchange rate, it doesn't really matter whether it's euro or US dollars. So we are a global market leader in 3 different segments. So we're active in airports, parcel, and of course warehousing, the main topic here today. So we are really a solution provider. So we provide innovative systems, intelligent software, and lifecycle services. But typically we start that whole process out with a bit of consultancy, doing solution design together. So a bit more about our North American organization. Out of the 9,000 employees, 1,600 of them are located in Georgia, Marietta. That's where our headquarters are in North America. Our revenue here in North America is $600 million, and this is our fastest growing market. And that's also why we're here, because this is where we are really investing in. So out of those 1,600 employees, 180 of them are engineers for the warehouse solutions, and 100 of them are service employees. And we are really doubling our investments in terms of manufacturing and supply chain. So we just opened a brand new office in Marietta, and we also opened a 1 million feet manufacturing facility over there. So for today's presentation, I'm not Lotte from Vanderlande, but I'm actually Lotte from Lotte Groceries, or a lot of groceries. I'll take off my badge for that. And a lot of groceries is a local grocery store. We distribute to roughly 100 different stores here in North America. And if I look at what my customers need, our customers, they have really high demands. When it comes to groceries, they want the products to be fresh, to their liking. They want to be able to select exactly the products the brands that they love. And they also want a great experience. They want it to look nice. They don't want to be bothered with all kind of people replenishing the stores while they are shopping. They want to enjoy themselves, and all the products must be available. I hate it when, we all hate it when they run out of your favorite products. So those are some of the things that are important, but there's more things. It's not just about the in-store experience, it's also about the online experience. So, more and more people are ordering their groceries online. There's more choices, and a lot of people are looking for flexibility. Like personally, I work like 40 hours a week, so I love to pick up my groceries after those hours. There's other people who really enjoy it when it gets delivered. So yeah, with my grocery store, we are really, we have to make sure that all those options are available. And we also really see a trend in the order lead time. It's really reducing. It used to be that the next day was okay. Now it's same day. We're even working towards a 3-hour delivery time slot. So those are some of the challenges that makes it difficult for us how to keep our consumers happy. And then the other thing is that we don't only have to deal with the consumers, but we're also dealing with our employees. And our employees, they want fulfilling work. it's getting harder and harder to hire young people who are okay to work in a manual warehouse. They think, why would they work over the weekends? Why would they work in the evenings if there's better options around? And you know, typically when people talk about labor shortage, they look at statistics. And when it comes to statistics, okay, yeah, it is true that there is a lot more vacancies than there are actually people looking for jobs. But this problem is more than statistics. It's something that we actually have to deal with on a daily basis. This is a picture of a Vanderlande customer. And if you look closely, you see that the guy who's operating it is actually also a Vanderlande person, because the company running this DC couldn't find operators for the GTP stations. So for us, it's not just statistics, this is our daily reality, and that's why automation is so important. So, as met a lot of groceries, my main challenges is getting, of course, the right products to the store on time. But, you know, it's so hard for me to open a third or fourth shift because I just cannot find the people. And if I find them, then I need to retain them. You know, it's typical that all the employees are turned over 2-3 times a year. And everyone that comes in new, I have to train them, I have to invest, and the productivity is always impacted. And this, of course, has also a lot of influence on the cost. And then, lastly, but also not unimportant, sustainability is becoming a more and more important topic. And for many parties in groceries, but also for my company, most of my sustainability impact, my environmental impact, is actually in transport. So that's something that I really need to get under control. So I would love to understand from Jake if he's able to help me with this problem.
I can, I hope. So first, we have to ask ourselves a couple of questions. Number one, what does your operation look like?
So our operation, we are running 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. So that means that we have roughly 5 shifts. And you know, our warehouse has about 200,000 cases a day. So if we do that in 20 hours, then it means that it's like 10,000 cases per hour that we have to get out. And our pallets, they contain roughly 80 cases. So that means that it's about 125 pallets in and out every hour. And we deliver to 100 stores.
Perfect. So this whole time I've been taking lots and lots of notes from all your demands, all your challenges, all your requests. So now that we've got qualitative things that you're looking for from your employees, from your customers, and as well, I am fortunate enough to have already on the screen all the quantitative things that a lot of groceries is looking for. So first, what can we automate? The first step is to build the process flow and understand what that looks like for the grocery store in this case. So there's several scenarios that we're going to go through today as we look for a lot of groceries and what we can automate for them. So the first scenario, of course, is all manual processes. The second is implement automated storage and retrieval. The third is to implement palletizing robots. And the fourth is to implement item picking robots. And then last, but not least, of course, is to implement autonomous vehicles. What does that look like? Well, an ASRS would take care of the storage and the handling. The item pick robots and the palletized robots would take care of palletizing and picking. And then, of course, AV would take care of shipping, staging, marshaling. So the first thing we want to look at is a full manual warehouse. So let's go investigate Lada's current DC. And I hope this looks familiar to Lada, and I hope it looks, or maybe I hope it doesn't look familiar to many of you out there in the audience, because if it looks like this, you're probably struggling today. So Lada, does this look like something that you're dealing with today?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, this is exactly what's happening. People driving around on their forklift trucks. People, manually palletizing preparing the pallets that are going to the store.
Yeah. So we do this assessment. We look at Lada's warehouse, and we see that there's 250 pickers, and they're spending 70% of their time either walking or riding to picks. And then as well, we look at it and we go, yeah, what are they performing at? What is their rate? They're picking 200 cases an hour, each case weighing an average of 18 pounds apiece. And some of the feedback that we've been getting from the employees in the warehouse is this is really cumbersome. They're tired. You know, after a 4-hour, let's say an 8-hour shift, 4 hours in, they're already tired. They're ready to go home. They really don't want to keep working. So what can we do? We can look at an ASRS. We can get rid of all of that walking time. And we can see, and I'll go back because I did not mention this, we also assessed the business case of maintaining this current operation. And the current operation, our cost per case is 53 cents per case. So what can we do from there? Well, we can implement an ASRS. And like I said, that would take care of the storage and the handling. Well, Lada's first question to me, at least I hope, well, how does that affect me and my business? How does that improve my cost per case? And what would my ROI look like? Fortunately, we've already done that assessment, so we don't have to show you guys all the math behind it. But in principle, just implementing an ASRS and eliminating all of that walking time is going to shave 13 cents per case off. Now, if you really want to run all of that math, and you can go back and do 200,000 cases a day or a week, et cetera, and run it all out and figure out what your ROI will be. But I can tell you it's quite good. It improves your ROI, or rather your business, quite a bit just by implementing a simple, and dare I say simple, but a simple ASRS. So a shuttle, whatever it might be, mini load, again, it's going to depend on your flows, but in principle, what we show on there is a roaming shuttle adapto.
I was wondering, Jake, did you also consider using an AMR?
For an ASRS, we could consider using an AMR. There are pros and cons to that, of course. The biggest pro would be, lead time to implementation. The biggest con is that you're limited in terms of footprint and storage density and throughput. So yes, you can go with an AMR, but that's a short-term solution to a long-term problem. Great question. Next step. So Lada's very intrigued by the ASRS. We're having great conversations. What can we do next? Let's look at robots. That's what everybody's here to learn about anyway, right? Let's look at robots. So what does that do? Immediately, as you can see, it starts to reduce the cost per case still. So palletizing robots typically handle about 93% or more of all SKUs in an ambient environment, specifically when referring to grocery. When you get into retail, which maybe a lot of grocery wants to expand her brand in the future, that number goes down a little bit, closer to 90%, just because in retail there's far more SKUs that you have to handle. But in principle, that's a very high quantity of SKUs that you can pull out and fully automate with a shuttle system in tandem with a palletized robot. Here we're going to show a short video of what that looks like, because it's very important for our grocery store to understand what they're getting in return. As you can see, the robots are very sophisticated. It looks like what they're doing might be terribly complex, but these robots have been in use for many, many years now. As a product, they're incredibly stable, and the software that supports them, like the load forming logic, is also incredibly stable and sophisticated to the point of being able to deliver on one of the benefits that you were talking about. Transportation cost is a big concern for a lot of grocery at this point. She's worried about sustainability. She's worried about the void in the trailer of, I'm not getting cases filling up my trailer, that's costing me money. Well, these robots with load forming logic and the proper software behind it allows you to focus on either two fronts. Store-friendly delivery, so I can deliver the pallets such that they're already built ready for the aisles, so that all my employees have to do in store is walk down each aisle and offload from top to bottom. Or I can focus on transportation, so that I'm filling my cube density in my trailers and reducing my transportation cost. And again, that brings our cost per case down even further, from 40 cents per case to 35 cents per case. So next up is item picking robots. Might be wondering how a lot of groceries, or why a lot of groceries needs item picking robots. Well, if you're familiar with retail operations, a lot of retail operations will actually do a process called breakpack. And that breakpack pick is basically opening cases, turning them into items, basically emptying those items into a tote where you can pick them out into a smaller order so that the stores, when they receive the breakpack tote, they can offload toothbrushes, whatever it is, those small items, so where they don't need a full case of, because stores or customers in those stores aren't buying so much of that product. So what does that mean? Again, we have a short video, but depending on the product range, robots can replace up to 70% of human pickers today. We expect that number to continuously climb as robot technology, specifically item picking robot technology, continues to advance.
You just told us about the case pick robots and that we already have hundreds of them out there in the field. But why aren't those item pick robots already out there for the same amount of time?
It's a relatively newer technology, and a lot of the development around item picking robots has been centered on the e-com market. And as you all know, sitting out there, the e-com market really boomed starting during the pandemic. It had already been on a huge growth trajectory, but during the pandemic, it really blossomed. So you've seen a huge amount of investment into item picking robots, thereby improving the vision systems, the gripper systems. All of that improvement is now translating into real world results and business cases that make sense for customers. And as you can see, as the costs come down again for those item picking robots, so does your business case improve. Right there, now we're at 30 cents on a cost per case, just by including, again, item picking robots.
That makes sense.
And then the last scenario, what about implementing AVs? As Lotta mentioned already, you can use AMRs to pick cases, but we can also use AV, AMR type vehicles or AGVs to move pallets. So we've built our pallets, we've filled those pallets up with cases for the store, with breakpack totes for the store. How do I get those pallets to the door? Well, use AV. Unfortunately, I don't have a nice video to show for you today, so we put a nice little picture up. But in principle, AGVs or AV will take the pallets directly from the stretch wrap after it's been fully built and bring it to a marshaling area at the door. And the benefits that you see beyond just bringing the product there is that you can now sequence those pallets in the correct order into the back of a trailer as well. So when I marshal them and lay them on the ground, I can actually put them in the order that, let's say, Lotta wants to deliver. Part of her transportation savings is that she wants to fill the trailer all the way full. Maybe she delivers to 3 stores. So now I can sequence those pallets in, store 1, 2, and 3. In fact, that'd be wrong. You should go store 3, 2, 1 in a trailer. But indeed, that gives her benefits of also offloading the trailer at the store. Again, saving time for the employees and improving their life, right? So then that saves, it seems like a little bit, only 2 cents there within the warehouse. But again, the impacts are in transportation or in the store. And this, I wanted to show something real world results for the audience here today. So this is a real customer as well, where we studied the results of their automation during the pandemic. You all may remember that a lot of restaurants, depending on where you were in the world or what states you were in the US, closed down. What that did is it drove grocery demand through the roof for in-store groceries or online pickup in-store. So what happened here is you can see the results on that screen. This system was designed, for, I believe, around 55,000 cases per day. The results are, this customer exceeded the design rate by 18% with automation. So with employees who, you had to keep distance, they couldn't come to work in the warehouse, this customer leveraged their automation, leveraged the palletizing robots, their shuttle system, their high bay, and AV to actually improve the performance and meet the demand, the increased demand and throughput required by their stores. I hope that was a very unique selling point for Lotta and her grocery. Now I'd like to give it back to Lotta. Pretend it's been 5 years later, we hope, and Lotta's now invested in robots. So Lotta, take it away.
Yeah, so a lot of people ask me, why do you decide to invest in item pick robots? But for me, the case was very clear. The technology was at a point that it was reliable and it could just work 22 hours a day. And that's the great thing about robots. Even though my normal operation are 20 hours, I don't need anyone around for the robot. So the robots can even work more than those 20 hours. And I want to show you what my business case looked like. So to do those 22 hours operations or 20 hours operations, a robot would replace roughly 5 FTE. And each of those FTE has fully burdened employee cost of, let's say, 60,000 a year. It depends a little bit on the geographical location, but this is our estimate. So that means that if you look at, for one work cell, I have an operational expenditure of about 300,000 a year. And then if I extend that to my 10-year lifetime, that would sum up until 3 million. So what does this picture look like if I replace these manual operators with a robot? So my operational robot cost, a robot, you know, you still have to invest a little bit in the operational expenditure. Why is that? A robot typically has a software license. That is a license that makes sure that the artificial intelligence model are always up to date. And you have to pay some money for that. On top of that, you also need to do sometimes service, and you still need to have someone around in case there is an issue with the robot to help it out. But that person can be shared between different robot stations. So if we have to make an estimate of the operational expenditure for a robot, that would be roughly 60,000 a year. And if we then take into account that the cost of upgrading one of my workstations with a robot is 250,000, it shows that my operational expenditure drops from 300,000 to only 60,000 a year. And then if I look what the total cost of ownership over 10 years is, then it adds up to 850,000. So you see that we can achieve an 80% savings of our operational expenditure, and that we can save over the lifetime of the system, over 10 years, more than $2 million. And then you have to take into account that we didn't look at inflation of the salaries over time. We didn't look at that. And it becomes very clear that the more people I can replace with robots, the better it is. The more stable operations I can achieve, and so the lower my costs are. So we want to give you a little bit of a sneak preview. What could my DC look like? So this is a site in North America. These are the workstations. That's where we want to upgrade the item pick robots later. Here you see from top, basically the path that our totes follow through the Adapto system. You see the palletizing robots on the right, the robots in orange. Well, Jake, thank you so much for sharing your analysis. I'm sure with this analysis, I can convince my investors that this is the investment that we need to make to basically make sure that we can keep a healthy growth of our company.
Thank you. So at the end of this, we obviously would like to share with you to come visit us at our booth. You can see an item picking robot in action in our booth. So if you haven't stopped by, please stop by the Vanderlande booth. It's the first booth on the south side of McCormick Place. You can't miss it. It says Vanderlande everywhere all over it, bright and orange, so please stop by and see that. There, the picture is what you'll see in the booth. And then, most important, if you have any questions, feel free to talk to any one of our consultants and engineers in the booth. And then as well, you have mine and Lotta's email for more specific questions that we hope, if you have more questions today, that you'll send us those questions via email or contact Vanderlande directly.
A round of applause for Lada and Jake. And does anyone have any questions while they are here? We've got some time. If you have questions, they can answer them. If not, definitely check them out at their booth. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.